Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bocce Boys. My mustache and I are here on the Bocce Boys podcast. We have a loaded show for you. Just Davis and I again. We got some college basketball. We got a lot of draft and NFL stuff. The draft is around the corner. Today is technically March 1st. We're recording on a leap year, but, it doesn't really count. The Bocce Boys have a loaded show for you. Please stick around. It starts right now.
Summer, all I did was rest. New Year's, all I did was stretch. Valentine's Day, I had sex. We'll see what's about to happen next. This ain't no regular shit. We never begging for shit. Niggas is ready to quit. Shit that they hate to admit. In Texas, I keep a rifle inside of the whip, call it driving a stick. In Vegas, I get $2 million a night from the wind just to run through the hits. All that on top of the chips.
Davis, welcome back to the Bocce Boys. How are we feeling?
Ethan, good. Didn't realize some YouTube exclusive content. You got a little friend right above your lip, below your nose there.
I tried to trim, didn't go to plan. So plan B, mustache. I'm doing it. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. We'll see what the listeners think, because we might get the most comments we've ever gotten on the video saying shave that shit off, all that stuff. I understand.
Yeah, you know how I feel about mustaches. I gotta shave it like every few hours. Gotta make.
Yeah, me too for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we need to talk about some serious business. Not that my mustache isn't serious, Davis. We got the NFL draft coming up in, actually just about 2 months ish, but about a month and a half. And we haven't talked about this at all since the Super Bowl. We're getting ourselves a little bit of a football break, but it's time to dive in head first, Davis. ESPN put out an interesting article the other day talking about who they thought the 32 starting quarterbacks were going to be in the NFL next year. And Davis and I thought we can actually do that better. So we're going to go through all the teams right now quickly, and we're going to try and accurately pick every single quarterback for next year. And we're going to start by looking at the NFL draft. So we're going to play God a little bit and go through each one of these teams, and not who we think the Bears are going to take number one, but who we think their quarterback will be in the 2023 season. So Davis, I think we both talked 2024. Sorry. It's a crazy year. Let's start right at the top. Who do you got for the Chicago Bears?
I got JJ I'm just kidding.
I was
what? Caleb Williams. I mean, has to go number one. What a trade last year. Carolina giving up basically DJ Moore, a few picks, and what also seems to be Caleb Williams. So I think one of the only teams we're not going to see on this list in the first round is Carolina. So we got to remember to mention them as well, even though I think that's going to be pretty easy. But Caleb Williams will be the starting quarterback of the playoff-bound Chicago Bears.
I like it. We'll do the Panthers at 9 instead of the Bears' second pick. I'm gonna have to agree with you. I know a couple weeks ago we were doing hot takes, and I said that Fields was going to take the Bears to the playoffs next year. I'm gonna walk this take back. I think it's becoming a little bit obvious after Ryan Poles' comment the other day, being like, "We're gonna trade Fields before free agency." I hate to do that to him. It was basically like Obama anger translator. I feel bad for him, so we're gonna get rid of him before because I like him. So
it's interesting. They're kind of letting him go wherever he wants. Also, want to say sarcastic that I said playoff bound. I don't think they're going to be fantastic, but I think that I think Caleb Williams will be decent in year one. I think he'll be, how I'll put it, I think he'll be better than Bryce Young. I think he'll be worse than CJ Stroud. I don't think he's going to be at the level that CJ Stroud was at, only playing 13, 14.
Yeah, I agree.
And still putting up elite NFL quarterback number. So I think Caleb Williams finds his way in the middle. Not sure where exactly, but I think this Bears team is going to be very interesting. And as I've said on previous podcasts, and I'd like to clip it when it comes around and post it around, but the Atlanta Falcons making some moves. Looks like
we'll get there at 8. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
All right. So number 2, the Washington Commanders, whatever their team name is going to be next year. I think that's still TBD. But who do you think is going to be the QB in Washington?
Lot of movement here. It's one of two options. It's one of two options. And both guys are going to be. It's whoever they're going to draft here at 2.
Yeah.
It seemed like forever it's going to be Drake May. But there's a lot of hype on Jaden Daniels possibly going number 2 now, which is very interesting. I still think Drake May goes number 2. I think Drake May will be the starting quarterback of the Commanders week 1. I think that the traction with Jaden Daniels is with the Cliff Kingsbury connection. Like he's a Cliff Kingsbury prototype, basically.
Mhm.
But I don't think they should be looking at that as long term. You know what I mean? They still need to
Yep.
figure out
I agree.
if that
I
coaching
agree.
staff is going to work. So I'm going to go with Drake May.
I'm also going to Drake May, but my second option is not Jane Daniels. My second option for the Commanders is actually Caleb Williams. I think there's a strong chance that Washington will trade up for Caleb Williams still. It would take a king's ransom, don't get me wrong. But two things we need to think in mind. There's a new ownership group in Washington, and they're trying to completely restructure this franchise, cosmetically, everything. They're trying to get rid of the regime. Two, Caleb Williams is from the DC area, and I think that that would do wonders for that team and that franchise, that community, everything. But realistically, I am going to say Drake May. I don't think people are talking about how freaking good he is. He had a little bit of a down year last year, a little bit like Caleb Williams. But I think Drake May is so good, so I'm going to go with him there.
I think a little bit of the downplay of it is the fact that North Carolina is not a football school. Let's be honest. The last few years, they have been a football school, and I think
Nope.
people need to get that out of their minds. I think North Carolina is going to be on the up and up a little bit. We'll get to the college football playoff. The fact that the 12-team playoff didn't really work out, so they're working with the 14-team playoff
I saw
now.
that today.
There's been a lot. I mean, we've seen the 12-team playoff for years now. It clearly doesn't work. The fact that Ethan, we haven't seen a single 12-team playoff yet, and they're already talking about 14. I don't know what is going on.
That makes me mad just because it's like I think the 12 is perfect. We haven't even tried it yet. I understand people are mad about the frameworks and the 5+7 stuff, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Anyway, let's move on, Davis. We got to go to number 3. The New England Patriots. I know that Mac Jones was the last quarterback, but like this is the true first next era of the Patriots. So who's going to be the quarterback of it?
I'm torn with this. If I'm in the front office of the New England Patriots, I'm going to go with a free agent. This is what I would do. I don't think they're going to do it. I would take a peek at Jake Browning or one of these other, you know what I mean?
Okay.
There's options out there for him. I don't think they go with a Kirk Cousins-ish person or player. But I think they should go Marvin Harrison here. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that the New England Patriots will draft Jaden Daniels at number 3, and he will be the week 1 starter.
So I'm also kind of thinking Jaden Daniels, but I'm also going to go the free agency route and similar, but not. I'm going to go Kirk Cousins here. I think Kirk Cousins leaves Minnesota. Maybe it's not his choice, but he is a free agent and they cannot tag him. I mean, the tag period is already up, obviously. But I think New England, they are going to draft somebody. I just don't think it may be 3. I think whoever goes 1, 2, the Patriots are going to be the spot that they can trade down and get a crap ton of picks. And I think they're in a spot they can do that. They can get maybe a JJ McCarthy late first round, later this round, maybe Michael Penix, maybe a guy second round. But I do think that this Patriots team wants to turn around, and I like Kirk Cousins there. Number 4, pretty certain here. I think it's Kyler Murray, right?
Kyler Murray. Yep, I agree.
Yep. And then 5, same thing, Justin Herbert.
It's going to be very interesting with him and Jim Harbaugh. Oh, yeah. I think Jim Harbaugh could turn it around, honestly.
Me too.
Again, I'm almost positive he has the highest winning percentage in NFL history. And moved to the college route, obviously won a national championship last year.
Wow.
And he's making his return back to the NFL. Yeah. So I think Justin Herbert would be sleeperish MVP pick actually for me. So we'll talk about that down the line, but I'm going to go, obviously it's Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Justin Herbert for sure. 6. This is a little interesting, Davis. We'll get to more draft specific talk at a later time, but do you think the Giants could take a quarterback, or is it probably Daniel Jones?
Not here. I don't think they take a quarterback here. I think again, we're talking about week 1 starter.
Yep.
I'm going with Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones will be the quarterback of the New York Giants week 1. I do not believe that Daniel Jones will be the week 18 starter for the New York Giants. I think, whether it be injury concerns that he's had the last 2 years or them moving on to, I don't want to say it, but a Tommy DeVito or somebody that they pick up later, maybe a Bo Nix, depending on how far he drops. I think this is a very interesting way the Giants can go. I think the way that Saquon goes will determine a lot of if they want to actually push forward towards a playoff spot right now, but it's going to be Daniel Jones.
So I'm actually going to go the opposite of this. I think Daniel Jones will start week 18, but not week 1. And I'm going to say Tommy DeVito, just as kind of placeholder-ish. Whoever the backup is in New York, I think is going to start, just because I think Daniel Jones is maybe a little bit more hurt. And, like, I don't know if they rush him out, but it's either Daniel Jones or the backup. I don't think they go free agent or draft route. So, but let's also forget that he did tear his ACL last year, and he might not be ready. So we'll see.
Correct.
All right, 7. Is this Will Levis?
Will Levis will be the week 1 start of the Tennessee Titans.
I agree. All right, 8. This one gets a little good. All right. The Atlanta Falcons. Is it Justin Fields?
Absolutely. Like,
is it probably maybe it is the week 1 starter of the Atlanta Falcons?
What did I just say? I just said absolutely.
All right.
The week 1 starter will be Justin Fields. I am all on board on it. I think I shouldn't even say I think. I know he wants to go there. He's talked about it. Yeah. I know that the Chicago Bears have given him basically the option of where he wants to go. He wants to go to Atlanta. I think he can absolutely revive his career down there, and I think that he will be able to utilize the playmakers down there much better than Desmond Ridder did. Desmond Ridder will not be a starting quarterback in 2024,
and he shouldn't be. I'm gonna agree with you there. I think it is Justin Fields here. I think it's so perfect. Obviously, it's his hometown, but like that team is just missing a quarterback. They really, really are, especially one who could be as a dynamic possibly as Justin Fields. And then also the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, Raheem Morris, at the combine the other day said that they're trying to find a quarterback that fits the city. And like he was like, I know people are going to make out of that what they want, but that's what we want. And you can read in between the lines, but that's Justin Fields most likely. I've seen a lot of fake trades out there that's happening soon. So I think it's on the way, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens by the time this podcast comes out, honestly, because I think they want to get this done quick, especially before the quarterbacks throw on Saturday at the combine.
I forget what we were talking about the other podcast probably about 2 weeks ago when it came to Super Bowl futures. I want to say the Atlanta Falcons were 50-1 when we were talking about it then. I want to go back and take a look at it. 35-1 now. Possibly a lot of traction.
Wow.
And then
is Justin Fields worth that much movement though?
Let's be honest. The difference between 50-1 and 35-1 isn't. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it moves them from probably being the 17th highest ranked. You know what I mean? To
yeah.
So I think it's really just it's not like you missed the number already. So I think that's something that you can definitely go back to and still take a look at 35-1, especially with a team that can most definitely win the division, even if it's not Justin Fields.
For sure. All right, let's move to 9 here. This says Chicago, but let's say Carolina. It's probably Bryce Young, right?
Without a doubt, Bryce Young.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening in Carolina, but hell yeah. 10, Aaron Rodgers, most likely to the Jets.
Yes, sir. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. We'll see if he makes it through the whole season this year, but I imagine that he will be ready for week 1. I mean, he was almost ready for almost week 11 last year, whatever it was. So, yeah.
Yep.
11, Minnesota. I know I said my Kirk Cousins thing, so what do you got?
So interesting, Ethan. It's so interesting the way I think they're going to go. They recently just came out and said something about how they might not want to pay Justin Jefferson, that they might want to go a full rebuild route, which would be very interesting.
But they said they'd have no interest in trading him today. So
no. Agreed. Yeah. But it's a very intriguing thing to say for a team that isn't committed to the rebuild. You know, like isn't fully invested in the rebuild. Week 1 starter in Minnesota. Oh, such a good question, Ethan. This is a tough one. I think.
Is it even likely they re-sign Kirk though?
I think it is. I think it is likely. I don't think he's going to though. Give me who is the quarterback that played at the end of the year there? Played very well, threw over 350 yards twice.
Jaron Hall?
No, not Jaron Hall. The other quarterback.
Nick Mullins.
I'll go Nick Mullins. I'm gonna go Nick Mullins as the week 1 starter. It's ugly. It's really ugly.
That's gross.
I think Ryan.
Dude, I remember that Raiders Vikings game. It was 0-0 in the middle of the fourth quarter.
I think Ryan Tannehill could be an option as well.
Okay.
I think this is one I definitely need to come back to though.
Yeah, I agree. I got a good one, and I think this is one that you're not remembering. Jameis freaking Winston.
Ooh.
He's not being talked about enough. He's not top of the line starter. Do not get me wrong, but He is productive. He is a smart football player. He cares about his teammates a lot. We've seen that. Also, the last time he started, I believe the Saints were 5-2, 6-2, 7-2, something like that. And then he got a really bad spine injury or something and missed the rest of the year and hasn't started since, really. So don't get me wrong. I don't think he's going to take Minnesota to the Super Bowl, but I could see him starting week 1 next year, and I think Minnesota lines up pretty well.
Another interesting one that we haven't talked about, I don't think he's going to move teams. Gardner Minshew is a guy that I would
He's actually a free agent.
take. I know he is, but I think
Yeah.
I think the Colts might pay him to be the guy, pay him to be the backup because they don't know if Anthony Richardson.
I actually forgot about Gardner. I don't hate him in Minnesota.
Get 17 games out of Anthony Richardson? I don't know, but I think he's definitely an option, as well as Tyler Huntley. A guy who might just get paid a bag to be a backup somewhere. So I don't know. I don't know the route Minnesota goes on right now, but I will just initially take Nick Mullins.
All right, cool. Interesting, but I don't know. Here's another good one. The Denver Broncos. Not Russell Wilson, right?
No, not Russell Wilson.
Is
a lot of talk of JJ McCarthy coming here. A lot of talk. I do think he will go in the first round. I think some team will make a very bad mistake on that.
Is it Knicks or Penix?
JJ McCarthy. I've heard it's going to be JJ McCarthy in this pick.
Penix?
Correct. That's what I've heard in my ear. But I'm actually going to go Kirk Cousins here. I think Kirk Cousins is the guy who can definitely revitalize this offense a little bit, especially on the outside when it comes to Sutton and Judy. And
have we forgotten that Kirk Cousins has had this guy named Justin Jefferson?
Correct. And look, he's been fantastic with him. But Kirk Cousins is a stat filler quarterback. He's going to be a guy who's going to get you the numbers. He might not lead your team to the Super Bowl, like you were saying, but
sure won't.
I think he is a guy who can definitely go out and make a wild card appearance in the AFC West.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. It's interesting to see what Kirk will get after an ACL. I don't think that will really hurt him too much. He doesn't really move that much, but this is a really tough one to call. If I hadn't picked Kirk to the Patriots, I think I might agree with you here, but I'm going to go with Stidham. I'm going to go with Stidham only because I think he was really good 2 years ago when they benched Derek Carr in Oakland, Vegas, sorry. And he was not bad in the end of last year. And I also just think Peyton is so freaking stubborn that he's like, I'm just going to start Stidham because I don't know if you know this, but Russell Wilson has the largest dead cap in history this offseason. And it's also it's combined. Sorry. The second place one is combined less than his right now. I don't know if that makes sense.
Are you seriously making the listeners do math right now?
I'm sorry. I'm really poorly explaining this, but anyway, it's so big that it's insane. Really, just put it at that.
We're in Carson Wentz territory. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, it's crazy that they're even like thinking about getting rid of Russell Wilson. I think his dead cap drop is $85 million next year. It's somewhere around that. That's 85. Insane. And what's crazy, as I listened to a podcast today, they made a very good point. Russell Wilson's freaking career is about to come full circle because he was the first guy that was like, rookie scale contract will get you to the Super Bowl. And now this guy is about to be a free agent. And if you can sign Russell Wilson for $2 to $3 million, I bet you're like, oh, I don't know, Russell Wilson on a $2 to $3 million contract. That's pretty good. You can build a team around him. Come on. Yeah. So here we are. I just think that's interesting. Anyway, let's go to 13.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Yes. So, Davis, I don't know if you've noticed, but I haven't picked Jayden Daniels yet. And that's where I'm picking him to go here. Something I think people aren't realizing is Antonio Pierce, his head coach, was the recruiting coordinator of Arizona State Sun Devils when Jayden Daniels was the quarterback there. AKA, he recruited him there. They have a relationship. And I think Jayden Daniels in Vegas is possibly the missing piece there.
But he can't drop to 13. So you think they trade up?
Yeah, I think they will trade up possibly with Patriots at 3.
To 3.
Yeah, I think Vegas is hunting for a quarterback. I've seen this a couple places on the internet. I just think that Antonio Pierce might go get his guy. And Vegas has been loitering in mediocrity for so long. I think I'm not saying Daniels is the guy. I'm not saying he's going to pan out, but I think they take a shot.
Yeah, and trust me, I think it's good. I think it is a good shot. I don't think he off the rip. I don't see him being as good as CJ Stroud was. Like I don't see him. You know what I mean? Like having this, eye popping year. But I do think he will be solid for whatever team he plays on. I'm going to go with a different rookie here. I am going to go Michael Penix Jr.
Okay.
I think that this is another one of Antonio Pierce's guys. This guy's been a dog in college. He was a dog at Indiana, and then he moved over to the Pac-12, led Washington to a college football final appearance.
Pac-12 championship.
And there's just some very, I don't know, like obvious reasons. He reminds me of Tua. You know what I mean? The way he throws the ball, and everybody who catches the ball from this guy says this is the best ball they've ever seen. It's very interesting. Now, I don't
watch that Texas game, rope after rope.
Yes, this guy only throws ropes. I don't know if he's the answer. We'll get deeper on that when we get to training camp time. But I do think Michael Penix Jr. will be the starter in Las Vegas in week 1.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. New Orleans, this is a funky one. Is it probably Carr, but
Derek Carr, yeah. Unfortunately,
yep, that's the perfect way to put it.
I like the Saints. I've rode with them the past few years on their win totals, on division winners. Like I've rode with them, and it's come to bite me a few times. Like this past year when Tampa swooped in and won the division. But I think Derek Carr is going to be the week 1 starter. Another guy, I don't know if he will be the week 18 starter though.
Yeah, might be Taysom Hill or something. You never know.
I'm out on that. I'm out on that for sure.
I'm out on it too. 15, Indianapolis, probably Anthony Richardson.
Without a doubt.
Yep. 16, I'm going to go Bo Nix here.
What? It's Geno Smith.
Geno is so...
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Regardless of how you feel, Geno, they need to plan for the future, and I think they get whoever slides. Maybe it's McCarthy, but I think they take a sliding quarterback here.
Week 1 will be Geno Smith to the Seattle Seahawks.
Nope. I think Bo Nix takes it. Northwest guy. Come on. Actually, not really, but he played in Oregon.
I can't get behind that at all.
We'll have it so mediocre.
We can debate about that, but Ethan,
we'll get there.
There are 18 mediocre quarterbacks in the NFL, maybe even 20 mediocre quarterbacks in the NFL. The NFL is their quarterback play right now is horrendous. Like
it's Geno Smith and Kirk Cousins holding hands, running down the street together. So
that's fine. They'll get me 8-9 wins. It's better. You know what I mean? It's better than the placeholder. So I'll keep Geno Smith.
Yeah, I don't hate it. All right, let's rattle off a couple obvious ones here. Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
Bengals, Joe Burrow.
Correct.
Rams, Stafford.
Correct.
I'm gonna go. We're gonna skip over one real quick. Miami, Tua, Philly, Hurts.
Correct. Pittsburgh. That gets through 22, and then we're missing 20. Pittsburgh. I will tell you mine, Ethan. It will be Russell Wilson. I think this is a fantastic fit. I can't wait for this to happen. I can't wait for the Schefter's tweet to come across my phone. Maybe Pittsburgh's on the wrong side of the state. All right. There's a right and a wrong side of our state, but there is no way you can watch the Steelers team and not root for certain guys, certain playmakers like George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Allen Robinson, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. I'm taking Russell Wilson. I think he will be able to, again, utilize these guys a little bit better than Kenny Pickett has been able to, and Mitchell Trubisky, obviously, for obvious reasons. And I think that his experience and understanding of the game and utilizing these guys will help the Pittsburgh Steelers make a wild card appearance. I don't think they win the division next year. I think it'll be close. The defensive side is just so tough as nails. Joey Porter Jr., TJ Watt. I mean, it's insane what they have back there, but I do think they will make the playoffs with Russell Wilson on a somewhat resurgence year for him.
Yeah, we'll see. That's probably the toughest division in football. But I agree. I think it's probably Russell Wilson and a move that's just like the complete opposite of every move the Pittsburgh Steelers have ever made. They very rarely will bring in a veteran quarterback like this, sign him to a free agent deal. But unfortunately, I think it's the move to make. I like Kenny Pickett. He's shown flashes, but I mean, some Kenny Pickett stats out there are like real bad. So like I think he's like dead last in like quarterbacks to ever throw 2 touchdown passes or like 2 touchdown passes. He's like the lowest like yards per game ratio, dead last.
But I
At, like,
thought he was the
315.
next Dan Marino, Ethan.
Yeah, no. 2-glove
Nah,
Kenny Pickett, nah.
I don't think anybody thought that.
No, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Russell Wilson here. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Cleveland/Houston. We'll go with Cleveland here because we can go to Houston next. Probably Deshaun Watson, right?
I think Deshaun Watson. I think Joe Flacco is a guy that we've missed on some of these teams, but I don't know if Joe Flacco will be a week 1 starter. Is the way I think about it. I think he might be a guy that comes in during the year again, sees what team has an availability. I'm going to go Deshaun Watson, unfortunately.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson. 24 Dallas. Would be shocked if it's not Dak Prescott.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. All right, 25. Jordan Love. Love it.
Sleeper MVP pick of mine. We'll get to it at some point. He was phenomenal
so last year.
Phenomenal late in the year. I'll go
that
Jordan
Cowboys
Love.
game is masterful. Watch that.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. I mean, he was phenomenal from weeks 12 on. MVP-ish style, and I think he could keep it up. And a team that I think that can win the division and might.
I hate the Packers, like so sleeper. I hate your team. Tampa Bay, probably Baker Mayfield here, right?
I think they'll bring him back. He's still technically a free agent, but I think they will bring him back. He's got that dog in him. I think that
that dog has him in him.
Todd Bowles didn't seem committed to him in the press conference after the loss to the Lions.
They're probably playing their cards in case they can trade up and get.
But he came right back around and was like, "Yep, didn't mean to say it that way. Like he's that guy. It's up to the front office." He meant to say it's up to the front office, not me. So I think it's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Baker's such a dog. I heard him in a press conference saying, "Yeah, we'll figure it out." Saying "we" before he's even re-signed is such a football guy move. Like you gotta love it. Such a dog.
Houston here, Stroud without a doubt. Buffalo, Josh Allen. Detroit, Jared Goff for sure.
Yeah, I actually think they extend him this offseason too.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a tough spot, but I need
to see one more. I need to see one more year of him being a playoff contending.
He doesn't get enough credit for having the best year of his career last year, though.
Correct. So I just want to see it again before I can get behind it. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, MVP. San Francisco, it will be Brock Purdy. But when it comes to 2025, though.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan, I'm never gonna put my cards completely down on him. You never know, but probably Brock Purdy.
32. Are we thinking Nate Sudfeld makes a comeback here for the Chiefs? Chad Henne? Chad Henne can make a career resurgence.
Oh yeah, it's Patrick the motherfucking goat Mahomes. Don't forget his name, guys. He will be like LeBron James of football soon. Like you will not forget his name.
He might already be, but let's stop talking about football because we just brought Patrick Mahomes, bringing up bad memories. Let's go back to a little college basketball. Ethan, I wanted to prepare you. I heard some comments from some people who watched the last podcast and listened and loved some of the analytics given when it comes to KenPom. Not sure if anybody knows or some of the people might not know what KenPom is. It's a analytically driven standings of college basketball.
It's a guy who doesn't have a life who just updates a college basketball website every single day.
If I were to have dinner with one person in the world right now, Ken Pomeroy makes the list at least.
Oh yeah.
Here we got here top 40 teams in KenPom. Now, if you look around real quick, I'll just give you a brief overview. Adjusted offense and defense right there. So Houston is 18th in adjusted offense. First, that means they're the best defensive team in the country when it comes to adjusted tempo, possessions per game, all that kind of good stuff. The next one's adjusted tempo, how fast or slow the team plays, how many possessions they have in a game. Basically, there's a luck factor to this and strength of schedule. When looking at strength of schedule, EM hardest is number 1. The easiest is 350-ish, something like that. Posing offense, posing defense. All right, Ethan. There might be some teams here that shock you a little bit. For me, it's Villanova cracking 30. That's insane to me. I think there are some definite sleepers when it comes to teams people are looking at in March Madness or not looking at enough, like Iowa State, who's right there at 10. No one's talking about them because they're like 5th in the Big 12 right now. Is there anybody in this list that you might want to take a look at?
I just can't believe they have Gonzaga at 20. Like, I don't have a lot of confidence in Gonzaga at all. But I mean, KenPom loves Gonzaga for some freaking reason. They're a top 10 adjusted off efficiency team offensively in the country, it looks like. And I don't get that. They just do not have it. St. Mary's has had their number this year, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm just not on Gonzaga, and they're not even in the top 25 of the AP. So I'm like surprised they're 20.
Gonzaga?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They actually play against San Francisco tonight. Thank you for bringing it up. Pick of the day: San Francisco at what? Ethan, home against Gonzaga +4.
Gonzaga's 23 in the AP. I apologize.
+4. Give me San Francisco. I think they're a team that could, if they make the tournament, they definitely can make some noise. On the defensive side, they're very slow. But right below them, too, St. Mary's. St. Mary's is 21 right here on the KenPom list. But Ethan, a team that really shocks me a little bit how high they are. BYU.
Well,
15.
why should they? Because they beat the team that was right below them the other night, the Kansas Jayhawks. And
Well, that surprises me too, how low they are. It shouldn't surprise me. It's more just the blue blood of Kansas being that low. I am more surprised about how happy that KenPom took my advice on how good BYU is playing. Actually watched them play a game. It was like, yep, you know what, this team's pretty good. So I think them sitting at 15, very interesting. Another one, Michigan State at 19. I think they're really overrated.
I feel like I've been staring at that for the last 5 minutes in disbelief.
They are so overrated. I don't know. I can't even imagine. I don't know why they're going to make the tournament because there are even teams below them that I think are better than them. I think Florida is decent. Texas is pretty solid. Even pretty far down the list, there's St. John's down there. Like, I don't know. You look at some of these other teams and you're like, yeah, Michigan State, they may have started the year in the top 5, but I feel like they're
Texas
just giving
be up there though.
I feel like they're just giving Michigan State that spot because they're Michigan State. Texas is good. The SEC is so good. The SEC is so good.
Is Ken giving like bias towards these conferences? Because I mean, Illinois is a good team, but they are not the 13th best team in the country, I think. I know that they're getting steam. I know that they're getting steam, especially that one guy that got taken off the team that got put back on has been going off.
Terrence Shannon, yes, he has been going off.
But speaking of the SEC, like Mississippi State, I don't think they're amazing. And
they just hung around with Kentucky the other night.
They did, but they lost.
Correct.
They did, but they hung around.
They hung around. I don't know. I think the way that we look at the Big 12 is you have to actually look at the SEC that way too this year. You look at the top teams like Tennessee and Alabama who are actually going to play on Saturday. I think that game is going to be tremendous. But some of these middle of the road SEC teams, and you can include Auburn up there as well, who just lost to Tennessee last night. But the Mississippi States, you can't put Ole Miss up there. They just have not been it this year. But you can put Florida up there without a doubt. Florida makes this list at 28th in the country. So I don't know. I think that this college basketball is really being dominated by 2 conferences this year. And it's very obvious to see that with Houston being number 1, Big 12. And then you go Big 12, we're seeing 1, we're seeing 10, 14, 15, and 16. SEC, 5, 6, 7. And then 17, you got some more down the list too. So it's really being dominated by 2 conferences.
I would say it's being dominated by 3. I think the Big East is getting a little bit too much love, honestly. Yeah, like Connecticut, Marquette, and Creighton are all very solid teams. But I don't think Villanova is the 30th best team in the country. I don't think St. John's is 32. I think Villanova and St. John's are getting way too much love there. Like, way too much love there. St. John's especially, they stink. And Villanova stinks too. I can call a spade a spade. They're not great. And I mean, any team near 12 losses should not be talked about in tournament play, in my opinion, at this point. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I think the magic number is right around 22. Which ends up leaving you with about 11 losses
Yep.
after conference play, depending on how far you make it into conference play, how many games you end up playing. So I think the magic number is 22. Villanova statistically can barely get there. I think they would have to make the Big East championship.
They would.
But I think St. John's is a team that will make it. They just had a big win last night on the road against Butler, another team on the bubble. Butler's definitely going to be out now. But yeah, I think that 22-ish is the magic number. That's the number we were chasing last year for Penn State.
Yeah.
We finally got there when we made the Big Ten championship, but we're going to see some of these. We're not going to see all the favorites just win their conference. Like, that's not how conference tournaments work. So you never know. You could see a Colorado come up strong. You could see a weird Oklahoma team play Houston in the finals. Like, you know what I mean? You never know what you're going to get. And I'm really excited to see when those come out in about a week and a half.
Yeah, I think these conference tournaments are going to be teams just eating each other alive, and it's going to be a bloodbath, absolute bloodbath. I think we're going to see a couple very, very weird tournament winners, and I'm really looking forward to it. All right, Davis, let's quickly wrap up here. We have a special topic for the people: baseball. We are approaching the end of spring training. We're right in the heat of it, starting right now, but we're going to go through each division, each podcast, like we did last time. We went through the AL East. This time we will do the NL East, a division that I think Davis and I know pretty well because of the Philadelphia Phillies. So taking bias out of it for literally 1 second, because we'll inject bias fully into this. Don't worry. Who do you think is going to win this division this year?
I put a lot of stuff on that the Atlanta Braves will repeat again.
Yep.
I think the Atlanta Braves, they probably have the second to maybe third best roster on paper and on the field coming into this year. I mean, their lineup is filthy. We know that. We've seen them in the playoffs 2 years in a row, and we beat them. Again, you never know what's going to happen in the playoffs, but this lineup is insane. And they added Jared Kelenic from Seattle, a guy who just needed a scenery change. I think
he's going to be amazing there.
It's going to revitalize his career. He's still a young, he's still a kid. He's like 24. Obviously, they have Acuna, Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Spencer Strider on the bum. I mean, this team's nasty.
I hate the Braves.
I think this team, I don't know what their over-under is on the top of my head. I would have to guess it's going to be
probably around 98.
I was going to say 97.5. I think they're going to end up with about 99 to a hundo.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think it's the Braves this year, unfortunately. I would really, really like to see our Phillies grab a division title here soon, just because the Braves have had a stranglehold on this division for quite a bit, it feels like now. And, it's nice that we've beaten them in the NLDS the last couple of years, and that's certainly something we can hold over their heads. Don't get me wrong, but what I've learned is, like, these Phillies just aren't built for regular season play, unfortunately. I think the Braves are a juggernaut, and I mean, they're the kind of team that can just get through the dog days of June and July and not even sweat it. And I think the Phillies and the Mets and the Marlins do sweat those dog days, and that's the difference, unfortunately.
I'll give you my hot take. I don't know if you have one prepared. My hot take for the division, it's going to come from down south on the Miami side. I think we're going to see a big, big down year from Miami. I think they definitely overachieved last year. Like, even just being in the playoffs, I see the Marlins possibly winning less than 74 games. They don't have the depth. They don't have the hitting. They lost Jorge Soler, one of their best bats in the outfield. And the signing of Tim Anderson is really going to make a difference. I don't think so. Have you seen a picture of Sixto Sanchez recently? It's really Seven-Toe Sanchez, because he really added. He's not looking like the same guy, and that picture solidified it. That picture solidified our JT Realmuto trade. We officially become winners on that. I think Miami Marlins take the 4th spot, contending actually for the last spot in this division. I think Washington could make a little noise of being not the worst team in the league, but I think Miami is going to have a big down year this year.
My hot take. I'm gonna spitball here because I'm thinking I'm between two, and there's only 2 options here, and it's the Mets, and there's only 2 scenarios for the Mets here. And let's pick your own adventure. scenario one, they're going to make the playoffs and possibly go far this year. I just think this is the classic Mets. On-off years, on-off years, on-off years. Last year they were off. This year they'll be on. I don't know if they'll go all the way to the World Series per se, but I do think there's a chance the Mets lineup will just be like, oh, yeah, we'll remember how to play baseball again together. And, I think they could sneak in as a wild card. My second more scenario and the more hot takey one, I'll let you go in a second. I think it's very likely they trade Pete Alonso by the deadline.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. I think they absolutely will.
Yep. And I unfortunately think that is a very, very, very dumb decision and like the complete wrong decision. And the reason I say unfortunately, because as a Phillies fan, I would love to see Pete Alonso traded out of this division just to make another team crappy. But as a sports fan, that is just the wrong thing to do. And I think that Uncle Stevie is just going to make more Frank the Tanks appear. Seriously, he really will.
Look, I'm happy that Edwin Diaz is back. I can't wait to hear some more trumpets.
I forgot about that. Yeah, true.
But their pitching is so bad. I mean, Kodai Senga might be an NL Cy Young winner. I absolutely.
Well, if his shoulder works.
Correct. If his shoulder works, it doesn't seem like he's going to be the opening day starter. That's a big deal, I think. And
Who
then
is?
we have Jesus Luzardo. I have no idea. This Mets starting pitching is horrendous. It just depends whether they're going to swipe the credit card even more.
They have to. When's the last time they've had a rotation this bad?
We'll ask
always
our
have
colleague.
pitchers.
We'll ask our colleague at work what we think.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
This is a bad starting rotation. I see them being right around where they were last year. I think maybe a little bit better. I'm 81 and 81-ish. Like that's where I see them. I see them solidified 3 spot in this division. I do think the Phillies will play well, unbiasedly. I think 90 wins is right about where I would be hopeful. In reality,
right, let me ask you a question, and I want you to give me your unbiased, then your biased answer. Okay. As a gambler, plus 310, what do you like for the Phillies to win this division?
I'm out on it. I'd actually rather touch the Mets a little bit, just with the way that they will spend money.
Everything we just said?
Just how much money they can spend. They have unlimited.
That's a lot of money to spend.
It is. It absolutely is. But you still have some guys out there like Blake Snell. They still could go after a guy like Blake Snell.
I think he goes to the other team in New York, though.
Yeah, he absolutely might. He also might go to St. Louis. But I think this division is basically going to be a runaway for the Braves. Their team is just nasty top to bottom, and they're a team who can play. There's not many teams like this. They can play 162 games at full form. No matter, you know what I mean? Like, I really truly believe that, and I think the Phillies could make some noise, but again, when we get to the dog days, it's clear that we haven't been there. But I think this is a year that we can solidify ourselves being having regular season potential. I think Trey Turner can have a big year. Trey Turner will have a big year. I think Trey Turner will actually we'll consider him to be the best hitter by the end of the year in the roster. I think that Kyle Schwarber has a good chance of leading the league in homers. And
if he's not hitting one,
stays healthy.
Yeah,
hopefully Bryce Harper stays healthy.
Yep, I agree with all those things. It'd be really nice to see the Phillies win a division. I just feel like it's silly, but like this team needs that small bit of confidence that they could be anybody, and I just think that they don't for some reason. It's weird, but this team needs to start and finish strong. Like there's been too many bumps in the road at certain points of the season. I want to see a full dominant campaign this fall and summer, the whole season, the whole thing.
I think the biggest thing comes to pitching. We
got to get another starter.
We have to have a full starting rotation. We have to have a full starting rotation throughout the year. And Ranger needs to be on. When I say on point, I just mean he can't. I want to see a 3.7 ERA out of him. I really do. Yep. I think that's going to be an ideal 3 spot there. I think Christopher Sanchez is a guy who can show potential being that next lefty in our rotation. So
that's the thing, though. We have guys that can be placed in spots when we need them, but the part of the Phillies, they've just been missing that last rotation spot for it feels like ever since we signed Zach Wheeler, really. And this could be our last season with Zach Wheeler. I think he's a free agent after the season. I know they have all of the hopes and aspirations in the world of re-signing him, but that never really happens sometimes. So it got to go all in this year, in my opinion.
I agree, but I think the hitting gets us on top.
I agree, but the hitting ended our season last year, so we're gonna need a little bit, just a little bit more, just a little bit.
We'll keep them hot. We'll keep them hot. Get the hand warmers ready.
1 for 20 in the last 2 games. The top 5. Come on.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, not good.
I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it.
We won't think about it anymore. We got some time until the opening day, but we got no more time in this podcast, unfortunately. We want to thank all of you for joining us. I know not all of you are listening to the end of the podcast. I know it's tough. We're working on the duration of these podcasts. We really are. But we're trying to get as much content and as much information into these as we can. And we appreciate you listening. So be sure to subscribe, share, like. We see you guys watching these videos. Just make sure it's getting more attention. Help the boys out. We appreciate it. And have a great day. Good weekend. Yeah, go Sixers. I don't know.
Go Flyers.
Yeah, go Flyers.